again.
We're back once again, this time on a lighter topic. My name's Jimmy. I'm welcomed to my left, right, up and down. What?
So I'll just introduce myself, cut me off, thank you. I'm not here, I'm leaving.
No, I'm welcomed by my from my left, right, wherever you are. Sure. I was setting
the
you
Discord
up.
issue again.
Yeah, I was setting you up. Don't fucking interrupt me during my intro ever again, cunt. Shaun, introduce yourself.
If you want.
No, introduce yourself. Introduce yourself. No, we're going with this. We said we're bringing back comedy. This is our comedy.
It's shit comedy, but I'm sure. Ta-da!
No one said comedy.
If you couldn't work out, I'm here.
But yeah, this week we said we'd do our games of the year or game of the year, whatever. We're not just going to stick to one game because if we did, it'd be a specific game we've played a lot of. But I will be speaking a bit more about my personal favourite games that I've played. Shaun's played a bit less than me, we'll say that.
Quite a lot less.
Yeah. So we'll go from there. You'll see. But we'll start off with what I think is our collective game of the year. And it's a game that isn't perfect. Shit, yeah.
Did I shoot the gun too early?
Yeah.
Oh, we're back on the meme.
It's a game that isn't perfect. Is it? No, it's not Bugsnax. Bugsnax is fine, but it's not Bugsnax. We already shit on it before. We didn't shit on it. But yeah, we've played a lot of this game this year, and it's Call of Duty Warzone. It's not a perfect game. It's quite shit sometimes. It's very unbalanced. But it's the one game that we've been able to play all together because it's cross-platform, and we've had a hell of a good time with it. And that includes Modern Warfare as well, because we've had a lot of good times on multiplayer and stuff like that. Just playing like face-offs and private matches and stuff like. We should really get on a private match sometime as well.
Yeah, so it may not be the best game released, but it's the one that we played the most. And had a lot of fun on.
Like personally, it hurts me to put a Call of Duty game as game of the year because I haven't properly competitively played a Call of Duty game since Modern Warfare 2. I played a bit of Black Ops 1 and Modern Warfare 3, but not to the extent of Modern Warfare 2. But it's nice to have had a game like Modern Warfare and Warzone, which just kept things interesting and I guess fresh. Well, for the most part, very fresh. I know Warzone can get repetitive, but it's a unique experience every time. Something crazy can happen. You can pull off some crazy shit. Seasons were a fun thing. The battle pass isn't overly expensive. Like if you buy it once, which isn't that much, then you have enough COD points to buy it again and again every season for no extra cash, which is nice. But yeah, it's just
it's not a pay to win. Like the paying element is in the game, but unlike other money grabbing companies, EA, we're talking about you, with like your FIFA Ultimate Team and stuff, which has the pay method in. You need to put the money in to do well in the game, whereas at the end of the day, it's a battle royale, so you have access to the guns. Some of them you have to play the game in certain ways to unlock them, but everybody has access to every weapon for loadouts and everything.
It's like if you had...
There isn't a payment barrier to do well.
We'll add on to this Call of Duty Cold War as well. We haven't really played... Zombies is fun. We've had a lot of good times with zombies, but we haven't really played anything else in the game. It kind of has to be linked because of the new season of Warzone being linked to it. So we've got new guns from it, and a lot of them have come with balancing issues that need to be fixed, but that's a different story altogether. As a game itself...
There is a lot of issues still with this, which is why it isn't actually Game of the Year, it's just the one that we put the most out into and have enjoyed. We've got to make that crystal clear that this isn't... We're not saying this is the best game that came out this year at all. Not at all. It's just the one that we have enjoyed a lot and put a lot of time into.
It's the best... I will say it's the best multiplayer game we played all year. that came out this year. I think that's a fair assessment. I don't think there's been very many hugely multiplayer games that have come out this year that you could say that for. So, yeah. Do you have anything else to say about Warzone, personally?
No. But I did actually just look at something which could be a good place then to move on to, actually.
Go on then.
After speaking of this, which is the games that have received 90 out of 100 or higher on Metacritic this year. Which obviously, when you're talking about Game of the Year, that could be a good thing to talk about. So a lot of these we might not actually be able to talk about a lot, which is an issue. There is one that I'm excited for. I'm happy it's on here. I wasn't expecting to see this on any list at all.
Is it Formula 1?
It's great. It is. We'll start there then. With 91, Formula 1 2020 is actually on there, which is amazing. Because it's probably behind Warzone and Call of Duty, the game of them put the most time into. As they made a big change this year where they brought in the My Team system, where instead of just being a driver, you are also the team owner, and you have control of what facilities your team has, delivery of the car, which, albeit quite limited, which is a downside to it and can be improved in the future. But they basically brought into the game something that fans have wanted for a long time, and I've enjoyed playing it. But anyway, I'll read off the list, and we'll pick out one to talk about. I think it might be easier.
Yeah, I'm probably going to have a lot on this list, hopefully.
So I'm going for the top down. So the first one is the best score, and then down to 90 for the last ones.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Persona 5 Royale on PS4.
Yep, I love... we're going to take that one out because I do want to talk about it.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Last of Us Part 2, which...
That one I also want to talk about. Yeah.
Hades.
I haven't played it, but I do want to, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. So it won't be on our Game of the Year list, but it is a game that you should look out for if you are looking for a good Switch game. Or I think it's on PC as well, but I've heard it's really good on Switch.
The platform is Switch on here.
Yeah.
Which will be the version that'll be given that score. So
yeah.
As you'll see later, that the actual platform does matter because one game's on here twice for a different platform. Then we have Half-Life Alyx,
yeah. It's a VR game. I have not played it. I do not own a VR, so I can't really comment on it.
Dragon Quest 11.
I haven't played it either.
Is that the Roman numerals? I think it's Roman numerals. Echoes of the Elusive Age Definitive Edition.
Yeah, it was on Switch. The Dragon Quest games
also it's PS4 on here.
Oh yeah, it's on. Yeah, they did bring it out on. Yeah, you're right. It's just because Dragon Quest is on Smash Bros. The main characters are on Smash, so I had that in my head. But no, I haven't played it, so again, can't comment.
So the next one is the one that's on twice, which is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. So it has the Switch version has a score of 93, and the Xbox version has a score of 90.
Nice. Again, haven't played it, but I've heard a lot of good things.
So a lot of people were saying this was in contention for their Game of the Year.
Yeah.
And was it in? I believe it might have been one of the nominated for the actual award.
Yes, it didn't win, but it was nominated.
Demon's Souls.
Demon's Souls is the remake of the original Demon's Souls, which is the kind of precursor or prequel to the Dark Souls series.
All the games have been really well received, haven't they, in that series?
Yeah. Again, haven't played it. Games. I may pick it up eventually, but I haven't really played any of the Dark Souls series. They're not really my type of games, so I'm a big, proper roleplay RPG or shooter, or I like a lot of genres, but I tend to stick away from games that make it very difficult for me. I like very story-driven games. Let's go with that.
So next is Microsoft Flight Simulator. Just a classic.
Interesting.
It's a classic.
It's classic. It has been very, especially during lockdown. I saw a lot about it, so not surprised.
Yeah, I think it's one of these. There's another one on this list which is the same. It was probably kind of like a perfect lockdown game for some people, where it's like their ability of getting away without being able to get away. And I think it's whenever they bring a new one out, it's always going to be quite highly rated because I think it is more of a specific game. Like, it's not a wide audience isn't going in for this game.
Right.
Like, it is more people who are into like being a pilot and that sort of things that play it. I don't think it's as much of a casual game as some of the others.
Yeah.
And doesn't quite get as much of the big hype around it as other games.
Mm-hmm. What's the last one? Or is there more?
There's more.
I'll keep going then.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 more.
Okay.
Oh, one of them is already in the list again, and one of them's Formula 1, so which we've already spoken about.
4 more.
Next is Crusader Kings 3.
Interesting. This list is not going how I thought it'd go, but keep going.
Then we had Formula 1, which we've spoken about.
Yeah.
Spelunky 2 is then next.
Jesus, this list is definitely not going the way I thought it'd be going. There are a few glaring omissions on this list, but let's keep going.
The next one is what is the perfect lockdown game, which was Animal Crossing: New Horizons.
That's one of them that I thought would be on there. It's also
only 90.
It's also one of my game of the years, but it isn't my game of the year.
I did put a lot of hours into this. Yeah. It's a good game, to be fair. But it is, I don't know. They don't make. It's not a game where you have like big leaps from the previous game.
No,
it is very much like the previous games, which isn't an issue because they're fun games to play. And this is very much obviously a casual game because there isn't really an end goal sort of thing.
Well, I still play Animal Crossing every day. Like, I go on it every day to do my streak and just to sell pumpkins. That's literally what I do every day. So it's a game that still had a big enough impact on my 2020 to be on the list for me. But as in terms of content or in terms of how much fun I've had with the game or whatever, it's not my game of the year, but it's up there. That's what I'll say personally.
The next was just the Xbox version of Ori and the Will of the Wisps, so we won't talk about that again. And the last one on the list was Yakuza 0.
Right. I haven't played any of the Yakuza games, but I've heard a lot of good things. But there are a few omissions to this list that I want to add on.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that one specifically isn't on here.
I'm surprised at 2.
Okay, but mine's Ghost of Tsushima.
That is one of mine, yes. Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah.
I just platinumed it on PlayStation about a week ago, not even that long ago. I wouldn't say it's my game of the year. A lot of people did say it was theirs, and that's fair enough. That's totally fair. It was a very good game. It made exploration fun. The story started off a bit slow for me, but really kicked into gear towards the end. Had a lot of emotional moments that I haven't experienced in a lot of games before, which is nice. But I'm very surprised it wasn't on that list, considering everyone was a bit like, oh, it should have beaten The Last of Us Part 2 to Game of the Year. Personally, for me, while Last of Us Part 2 isn't my Game of the Year, it was it was the better game. But I didn't hate the Abby stuff in The Last of Us Part 2 or anything like that. I thought the gameplay was way better than the first game. I thought the story was way better. I just had a better time with Last of Us Part 2, so it had to be on there. But they're both on par, if not Last of Us slightly ahead. But Last of Us was on that list, wasn't it? It was early.
Yes, early on.
The other game that I'll list off some honourable mentions as well. Doom Eternal, I think, came out this year. I haven't completed it yet.
Yes, it did in March.
Yeah, I haven't completed it yet, but it's definitely a good game, but I wouldn't say it's on the high standard that we put on. Spider-Man Miles Morales, I've heard a lot of good things, but I think it's too short of a game to be considered the game of the year this year.
I think it also came out too late in the year as well.
It was like I'd put like Cyberpunk higher up, but because of all the shit that's gone on with Cyberpunk, and because it's come out so late.
There.
Yeah. Well, personally for me, not that I played a whole lot of Cyberpunk, because I decided to play other games before it, because I had a bigger backlog, and I was like, I'm not going to start the newest game, or I played a bunch of it, but I want to get through some older games first. But it's still a very, very good game, and it has got a lot of hate for no reason sometimes. Like, if you've got it on an old gen console, you have a right to want a refund, but there's been attacks on people's lives here, and some people really milking the hate for Cyberpunk. But at the end of the day, not what we're here to talk about. It's still a good game. I'd say give it a couple months and then buy it when they do some patches. If you're really scared to buy it right now, that's the way to go. But the one game that I thought would be on this list that isn't, and I'm pretty sure it came out earlier in the year because I bought it during lockdown, and that is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yes, it did. I remember seeing it. I'm looking down the list of games that came out, and I'm sure I remember. Hang on, I should be able to.
I'm pretty sure it did. Yeah, it's basically...
Yes, it came out in April.
It was, I guess... I don't know how to explain it, but it really made the world of Final Fantasy VII feel more engrossing. You know, a chapter in the original game, because it's not the full Final Fantasy VII game, in case you didn't know, Sean. It's like the opening 3 hours of the game expanded into a 20-hour story sort of thing, and made into its own thing. And it's setting up little sequels that will be in the continuation of the original game, but remade. But it's just so, what they do with it was so interesting. And of course, I'd love to have had an 100-hour epic of the whole game all in one. But I love what they did here, and it needs improvements. I'm not going to say it didn't. Same with how Final Fantasy 15 a few years ago, for me, was a really good game, but it needed improvements. And same here, but it's still in contention for one of the best games of the year. But yeah, I'm trying to think of any other games we could add onto this list. I'm just going through them now. Resident Evil. Go on, you go.
Well, I was going to say, there's obviously games that have came out that I know where they're not on there, but I think probably deserve a mention.
Yeah.
More because of just how big they were. Well, it's only one of them that came out this year, but which is Fall Guys, which is just when that first came out, how huge that was. I completely understand why it's not rated that highly, because there was a huge drop off, and it did seem to be just a very quick phase. But obviously, there were so many people playing that when it first came out, and obviously the other one,
Among Us,
which is Among Us.
It
wouldn't be
technically doesn't count, but
because it came out a few years ago.
Yeah.
But if you're just talking about gaming in this year in general, you have to talk about it again because of just how many people were playing it, how much it caught on, and still now how many people are still playing it. Even
I love watching people play it. It's great.
It's great to play. It's great to watch people play.
Yeah. And
for a game that has had, since it caught on, very little development on it, it's amazing that it's still going, and that obviously there's the different ways you can play it of making your own rules and everything. But it was just amazing that this small game that had been out for a few years just all of a sudden just came out of nowhere and everyone was playing it.
Yeah.
And competing with these huge games that were being released that were being talked about just as much. It was quite incredible.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with what you just said. And I know, like we said, it didn't exactly come out in 2020, but I guess it had its coming out party in 2020. It went from 10 people playing the game to I'm pretty sure it's the most played game ever on Steam. Something crazy, which is a big feat considering you have games like CSGO on there, which has a rabid, huge fan base. League of Legends, stuff like that. I mean, I think it was the most played game on PC as a whole ever, which is crazy.
I've just found another one to talk about as well, actually, that wasn't on the list. The big game was Assassin's Creed.
Oh, I was going to mention
this
it,
year.
but it came out way too late, like Cyberpunk and stuff.
Yeah, sadly in November. So.
I know a lot of people's opinion on Assassin's Creed, and it was never going to be on people's Game of the Year list. I haven't played it myself yet. I still need to finish the DLC for Odyssey, to be honest. But yeah, it's in contention to be an honourable mention. Another game I wanted to put on there. It's way too short to be on anyone's Game of the Year list, to be honest. But Resident Evil 3 Remake was a nice little change of pace, I guess. And it was very... I don't know, it was a fun remake of the original Resident Evil 3. And it deserves a little mention here. But anyway, we've gone through the list, we've exhausted the list. Your personal Game of the Year is Formula 1.
It's just the one I've put time into.
Yeah.
There's so many games I haven't.
When you get a PS5, different story.
Yeah, but for me, I've enjoyed it. I haven't played any of the bigger games that have come out. So, Watch Dogs Legion. We didn't talk about that. That came out this year as well.
Yeah,
but again, late in the year. So
and it was also not very well received. So
obviously, just on that of the big games that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So it came out.
Okay. I will get to my Game of the Year then, I guess. Like I said, it was close at the top, but we've already mentioned my Game of the Year, and it's, I think, the top game on your most reviewed list, and it will be Persona 5 Royal. That game is incredible. I played the original and completed the original when it came out a few years ago. I did it while I was at uni. It took me about 150 hours in-game to complete, without counting the times I had to go back and reload saves. So it took a long time to beat. And Persona 5 Royal took me even longer, because I took longer to do things, just to take my time and go through everything and I platinumed the game as well. I completed it not that long ago. Maybe about a month ago I completed Persona 5 Royal, but it took me a long time again. It took me ever since it came out. I think I got it the week it came out. So I was playing through it slowly. It's just such a... I don't know how to explain it. It's one of those games that you play for so long, but it's not boring. Like, sometimes it's good to take little breaks from playing it, which I was doing. You know, we played Call of Duty and stuff, like, to break up the time. But it's one of those games that when I'm alone, I'm like, okay, I'm going to play some more Persona, get through a bit of the story. It's just a very fun story. It has a lot of drama elements in it. It has very fun gameplay. I don't know how to explain it without, having to play, like having people play it themselves. It's definitely worth the price. It's worth double the price you'd pay for it, probably. It's that good of a game, and you'll get that much game time out of it. If you're not into, I guess, Japanese RPG style games or anime or stuff like that, it probably won't appeal to you as much, but I'd still say it's worth your time. Like, it's just... I don't know how to... I mean, obviously a lot of people love the game, otherwise it wouldn't be the top game of the year, and I'm surprised... Actually, it wasn't on Game of the Year list because it was a remaster of the original. That's why it wasn't allowed on the Game of the Year awards, which is fair enough. But at the same time, I feel like it adds enough. Like, there's a whole another section of the game they added, which is like 30 hours long, which is, for me, warrants a whole game in itself. So it's going on my list as the Game of the Year, and it's the game, other than Warzone, that I've spent the most time on this year, and I don't regret it. But yeah, I think that's about it, Sean.
Well, I just thought, while we're talking about it, I didn't know if you wanted to have a quick discussion on 2021 games that are coming out and what we're looking forward to.
Yes. We were going to possibly save this for another podcast, but Sean knows nothing about this. So it was going to be me and Adam, but Adam is like, you know, quite busy, so it's dependent on that. But a game I am looking forward to is the remastered trilogy of the original Mass Effect games, which is set to come out in about a month or two, so it's not that long at all. The Mass Effect trilogy is possibly my favourite game series, behind maybe Fallout. Yeah, I'd say that. But it's just a game that I'm highly anticipating. I've always wanted the original Mass Effect to be remastered and to have gameplay similar to that of Mass Effect 3. And I hope they sort of translate the gameplay from Mass Effect Andromeda, which, while the game itself was not very well liked, I liked Andromeda. I thought it was personally better than the original Mass Effect, but that mainly is because of the gameplay elements. I hope they translate those gameplay elements into the original trilogy, which they seemingly are doing. They are updating the game. They get all the games, and I recommend anyone who hasn't played the Mass Effect trilogy, or who has, to pick those up, or that up, because it will be a collection in the coming months. So to be on lookout for that.
I have got a list in front of me if you want me to go down and pick out
go through
ones.
the list, because that's the only one I've got on the top of my head.
So I'm not going to talk about everything, obviously, but just ones that I think we'll both be able to talk about, or definitely know that you would as well. So Hitman 3 is coming out in January.
Yes.
On January 20th, which I'll be excited for. I love the Hitman games. For me, they're, as you said, with like Demon's Souls and Dark Souls, they are slightly more difficult games, I think. You have to really concentrate on them, because have to be quite...
They're very like unique in the fact that the newer Hitman games specifically give you so many options, and they're quite, I wouldn't say open world, but they're quite like, you're in this world, you can kill this person however you want. You just got to figure out a way to do it.
It's just like a puzzle.
Yeah.
It's a puzzle without being a puzzle game, sort of thing. That you can't just go in running and gunning, because you're not likely going to get through the game. Yeah. You've got to be tactical about it.
I think they said for Hitman 3 they're moving away from the episodic structure that they had in the previous games. Or did they do that for Hitman 2? I don't remember. I just remember them saying they were moving away from it. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if they backtracked. I don't know if I'm making this all up. But we are getting a new Hitman 3 game, or a new
You'll
Hitman
find
game.
out in about 25 days.
Yeah.
So.
What's next on the list?
I did see someone. I need to get the article I'm reading put them into months, but only put a few of them in there, and there's a huge list of just to be announced, which is a bit annoying. But I know one for me is Gran Turismo 7 coming out. I'm looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Love my racing games, and it'd be good to see what they're able to do with the game on the new console. There was definitely I'm surprised you haven't said about this. God of War.
It's not going to come out next year.
Okay.
I'm. If it comes out next year, it'll be like Christmas. They just announced it like not that long ago, and it was literally just a voice clip with no footage, nothing, and that to me says a couple years out. But
this isn't going to be a huge section, because obviously most of the information for next year will come out next year.
Yeah, if it does come out next year,
will be released around November time next year.
If it does come out next year, I will be surprised, but it will be up there as one of the games of the year, and I will be highly anticipating it. But I don't expect it to be out for a while, so yeah.
We have Halo Infinite, which was set back because it was supposed to come out this year.
I lost interest in the Halo games after 4, I'll be honest. And I also don't play my Xbox One anymore, and I don't own a Series X because I own a PS5, so I won't personally...
You have a PC?
I have a crappy laptop. It won't run Halo. If I get a better PC, I will consider picking it up. But at this stage, no. The one game I am sad I won't be able to play at the moment is the Gears series, Gears of War, because I do like the Gears. It's one of the only exclusives for Xbox that, well, they don't have many, but it's one of the only ones that I continue to play. I have every Gears game, so I will be eventually, hopefully by the time Gears of War 6 comes out, which I don't know if that'll be next year or the year after, I will have a better setup. But for now, we're living life how it is. But yeah, what's next on that list?
I don't have anything to add to this or anything about anything with the game, but I just seen a game saying "I'm Jesus Christ" that's coming out.
Fair enough.
Which
game of the year, is that the new
sounds
Bugsnax?
interesting. Could be the new
2021's Bugsnax.
Horizon Forbidden West.
Yes, that is a big one. I liked Horizon Zero Dawn quite a lot when it came out. I don't think it was the best game ever made. It had a lot of issues. Personally, for me, the gameplay wasn't all that great. They could have added a lot of mechanics to the game to make it a little bit more fun to explore. The world wasn't amazing, but the story and sometimes the gameplay were fun, and it was a great launch title originally. I think it was a launch title for the PS4. Or it wasn't launch, it may have come like soon after. But yeah, it was a very good game, and I am excited to see what they do with the sequel, because they set up a lot of stuff that they can go with. So yeah, exciting one. Oh, I know one before you get to it. The new Resident Evil. That's on that list, isn't it? It should be.
I don't remember seeing it.
It should be on that list because
they
announced it.
Resident Evil Village. Yes.
It's Resident Evil 7. I've played through every single Resident Evil game. I played through all of them. I think either the end of last year or the beginning of this year. I don't know, except for 7 because I'd already played it, and I only got halfway through 6 because I played it before and I just lost interest. But yeah, be really interesting to play Resident Evil 8 because it's following the style of Resident Evil 7, which was really, really good, and I recommend you play it, Sean, because I think it's on the PlayStation Plus collection when you eventually get a PS5. So
if they ever put them back in stock.
Yeah, well, they might be January, I've heard things.
Or Sony, listen to us. We'll take one. We'll take a couple.
Sony, if you want to sponsor the podcast as well, Sean could do a PS5, and that's all we need for the time being. Just a bit of exposure on a PS5.
I want an extra rate on top of all your PlayStation games.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to a bit of bribery. I'll bump these games. Next year, when we do our 2021 review, PlayStation games might be higher than Xbox ones. Yeah. It might just be how I feel.
They'll probably be higher anyway. But yeah, like that. Resident Evil 7 was really good. Resident Evil 8's continuing the story on from that, albeit in a different setting and with some original characters like Chris Redfield, who is, while he appeared at the end of Resident Evil 7, he seems to have a more prominent role in 8. And I am interested to see what they do with that. Anything else on that list?
So I think for the big games we're covered. Obviously, you have your usual yearly releases of your sports games, so your FIFAs, your Maddens, that sort of thing that will come out. But obviously, I say at this point we don't know much about them. When they come out, we won't know much about them because they won't be any different to the year before.
They'll probably also have another WWE game coming out, or they might save it until the year after, because there was the whole thing where WWE 2K20 was terrible.
Took a year off.
Yeah, it took a year off. It was terrible, and they came up with this arcadey game, which was fine. I haven't played it myself, but yeah. But hopefully that comes out and is a marked improvement on the 2K20 edition. But yeah, other than that, off the top of my head, there's nothing I can think of.
Well, the only other thing I'll say is that most people are obviously expecting a new Pokemon game to be announced and probably then released in the same year, how they normally fall. Mm-hmm. But if it is, we won't know anything about that until February, because they're most likely going to we'll have our first details on it on Pokemon Day, which is in February. So we expect that to come out this year. Don't know for definite, but with it being the 25th anniversary, we'd imagine something big's come in. It's obviously it'll be then 2 years. So it'll be 2 years since Sword and Shield, so it's on their usual schedule of when they release games. Yeah. So basically, you've got to subscribe to us, and we'll let you know when we know.
Yeah. Well,
the same with all the other games for the year. We will let you know when we know information when they come out. Because as I said earlier, a lot of the games, obviously, you find the information out early in the year, and then they're released later in the year for the holiday season. So expect, or hopefully expect plenty of announcements early in the year of what other games to expect later in the year.
Well, if you're watching this now, tell us your game of the year for 2020. We'd love to know. Like and subscribe as always. Hit us up on well, you can hit us up on Instagram. We do have an Instagram page, but we don't use it at the moment. But
if you follow us, we might.
Yeah, but we do use our Twitter for the most part, and our Facebook, which we put our catalogue of articles and podcasts on there. And join the gang. What can we say? We hope 2021 is much better than 2020 has been. This podcast will probably come out early January, so we would have already passed the new year. But good luck to everyone, and we hope there are many good games to play in 2021. Goodbye.
And we'll see you in the new year.